Hi, and welcome to Sandy's Numerology, and it's really good to be back again. South Africa is born on the 31st of May 1961, and because we are born in May, we haven't reached our birthday in 2020. So to give you an explanation of where we are since May of 2019, we're in a 3 personal year. And this has been so magical because a 3 is ultimately a very happy year. So let's look at our success with rugby, our success with our Miss Worlds, Miss Universes, Miss South Africas, a lot of Paralympic sports people have been achieving, to book writers. It's been absolutely unbelievable how much happiness has been there amidst all the negativity. So we've still there all the way through until May of 2020. So there are still some really good things coming our way. But importantly, whenever you're in a 3 personal year, it's when you've got to start cutting back, start cutting down, start reining in the spend, and rather looking at values versus the valuables. So we are being asked in this country to be looking at our values versus the valuables, which I think a lot of people that are in power are more focused on the valuables that they can get from the people. Our age adds to a 4 because we're 58 years of age currently. And this is, for example, how Moody's have downgraded us. A 4 is how in the business world we have seen the job losses and the cutbacks and the difficulties and even the word restriction. We've seen quite a few changes happening in particular industries, and a 4 is about structures, which brings us to 2020 because South Africa now goes to a number 4 personal year. So this is critical because now we're in the energy of what 2020 means generally and globally, which is restructuring, downsizing, job losses are going to escalate like you can't believe. A lot of high-paying people in mines they're getting rid of, and then they're employing much younger to pay cheaper, which in time is going to backfire. But this 4 is rules, regulations, boundaries. It's earth, metal, and wood. So we've had very nice rains, and we'll still have good rains to May 2020. And then we start in the pullback on a weather perspective. So we're going to start see us going into a drought from, I'm going to say November, end of November of 2020, which will continue for about 1.5 to 2.5 years. So we need to be very mindful because globally 2,000 to 2,999 is water, and water is going to be a very expensive commodity. So 4 for all of us is how we are going to be feeling restricted, and it's not an income year for the country. It's almost like there's restrictions that we have got and we're not actually bringing in the business from a foreign perspective. And as our age will be 59, that 5 should be import and export. So we could be on one hand very positive because of our currency, our exchange rate, but there's difficulties and there's challenges here. A 5 is a number that reveals all that you need to know. Devious, dishonest, corruption, and I think that that word is been around for a while here in South Africa, and it's going to get stronger. We are going to experience with that 5 is how the powers that be from an outside in the greater world are restrictive to us. But what is going on in the rest of the world with their difficulties, because when you look at an age, it is out there in the greater world. And with the problems that are being created by Donald Trump and China, and then we've got the Iran story coming up, we've got Brexit coming up, and this is going to affect us. But a 5 is about negotiation. It is about how do we marry with others? How do we marry with another country? And how do we do deals? But it's going to come at a price. There's going to be a lot of negativity, and the government of the day is going to be affecting things on us that we are going to get very tired of. And as we are restricted, the restriction pulls us together. So a lot of difficulties. Industries will be coming to an end over the next 5-10 years. And as you know, current hard industries, it's over. And I'm talking about banking. We see Standard Bank getting rid of a lot of staff, but they've been verbal about it where the other banks haven't been. Mining, a lot of selling off of mines. Yes, Eskom is a problem, but it's also a part of what's going on universally. It's about how we change to move into the technology world, the battery world. We're not going to use fuel and coals and oils and petrols. That's all going. Everything is going to be driven from a technology perspective. So I'm going to say to people in South Africa, this is a time to become incredibly entrepreneurial. And how are you going to start your own business? Our matriculants are going to be struggling to get jobs. If they can't get jobs here, they're going to try and get jobs elsewhere. But what is happening here in South Africa is happening globally. So what I can say is become entrepreneurial, and because these big structures are coming to an end, it's even shopping centers are going to come to an end, and we're going to go more back to our community. We want to get more people contact. We're going to be supporting those small businesses, because whenever there is a cut down, cut back, job losses, it affects the community, and the community needs to rise together. We look at I'm Staying, creating an incredible collective before May of 2020 and setting up a base of how we greet, how do we speak, how do we acknowledge, how do we care, and how do we feel. And this is not about race, it's not about age, it's not about religion. But we have to change our ways. We look at what has happened in Australia with the fires. If we are going into drought, that means the possibility of fires. Normally, from a maize perspective, when a year adds to a 3, we have slight difficulties in the beginning because we could have had too much rain or a little bit too little rain. But eventually, by the time we get to November, there will be a stockpile of maize, which our government every 9 years now hands out and sells to other countries, that when we reach 2021, probably around the October, November of 2021, we are having to import, which means the bread price, the staple foods, your iwisa, is going to get more expensive. So there again, whenever we have these trials and tribulations, we have to find another way. How can we do this for ourselves? Could we be growing a little garden of staple foods in our yard? We've got good soil, we've got good weather, we've got the right weather, we don't have the snows. So People, I'm saying to you, we're in trouble, but so is the world. And if a war breaks out, which it is building up to that, it's a slow process, but we've got that whole North Korea, China, Russia, Israel, Iran, Iraq, UK, and then the Americas in that northern hemisphere. And when war is there, we might get affected in our delivery of what is coming to South Africa because of restrictions. We have to get smarter. And this is not about, I need a job and where are the jobs and the normal political rhetoric and everything. Become entrepreneurial. Now is the time. Lot of problems coming. But the best part of all of this is the new companies, new industries that will be emerging out of this. So don't rely on your government to give you a job. Don't depend that there is work out there. Make sure that you've got that little business running from your home front. So what is important to know, that this is for anything that has a date of birth. So whether it's a human being, a company, or even a country. So with South Africa born in 1961, when South Africa was 27 years of age, which would have been 1988. And I'm going to go, let's go 87, 88, 89. We know what was going on. Bombs were going off. It was a chaos before Nelson Mandela got released. We were in Saturn return, and our second Saturn return comes at the age of 58, 59, and 60. And South Africa is currently 58 years of age. And a Saturn return brings up what is broken that needs to be fixed. It brings in change. It brings in how we can't be living in the past. We've got to make so many changes. We made a lot of changes when we all voted in 1994, and that is coming by again in 2021. So we need to make sure that we are working towards the future of South Africa, not hanging on to anything to deal with the past. And what is interesting in South Africa's name, because every letter in the name of a country is a time of a person or a country's life, we are sitting in a 44-8 triangle. South Africa is an 8 life path, and this is the time of communication and balance and organization. Otherwise, it's going to be violence. I see that we will experience a death that will happen that's going to be significant. And I'm going to say it might not be just one. That could be public figures that could lose their life. But this could also have, because of negativeness and negative people. So we're in a very, very trying time. If you remember 1987, 88, 89, 1990, our Saturn return, we are back there again. We have to make changes. You've got to make the change from within. You've got to move forward. You've got to fix. You've got to connect. You've got to make things work. So it's going to be very tough. But we have done tough before. Very different. But the tough is here again. And it's time for us to wake up so that we can move our fabulous country into the future. A lot of people want to leave South Africa. A lot of people have left. And the figures were given out in the early part of this year that the ratio was more African people were leaving than white people. But that is our ratio. And a lot of people were leaving for work or opportunities or study opportunities. And then we've got the people that are leaving because of politics. Well, all I can say is they're going from, it's like they're walking on this beautiful country, this beautiful path, and they're just going to fall into the Kimberley hole in another country because currency exchange, the problems that they will be experiencing, which will be very similar to us, very few countries are going to be actually doing very, very well in the future. So the people that are leaving, be very careful, know where you're going. Going to the UK, not having a base, not having family, not having friends, trying to get a job, trying to get into a different life, doesn't mean to say that they've not got their problems and they've got their crime there as well. So to the people that are part of I'm Staying and who are part of never planning to go anywhere, realize that it's time to grow you, and you can grow your country by having your own business. It's going to be tough. Thank you for watching Sandy's Numerology. Click subscribe, click on the bell so that you get notification of new episodes